The soft light of the art gallery enveloped the space, creating a magical atmosphere that transported me to a world where creativity and beauty intertwined. I was there, surrounded by vibrant paintings and photographs that told stories, trying to lose myself in the nuances of the works. But no matter how hard I tried, something kept capturing my attention. A man, standing in front of a piece, was observing with an intensity that intrigued me. When our eyes met, I felt a chill in my stomach. He had a charming smile, and his eyes, of a deep and enigmatic shade, seemed to hide mysteries I longed to unravel. His name was Alex. "Do you like this piece?" he asked, his voice soft like a whisper. "I love it. The way the artist captured the light is incredible," I replied, trying to hide my nervousness. "It's as if the painting is alive." He nodded, and soon we were immersed in a conversation about art, about the passions that moved us. Alex spoke with such passion that I felt captivated. "Photography is my favorite form of art," he said, a sparkle in his eyes. "Capturing fleeting moments and turning them into eternity is something magical." "You're a photographer?" I asked, enchanted. "That's wonderful. What do you photograph?" "Mainly urban life," he replied, a smile playing on his lips. "The stories people carry in their faces and in the everyday life of the streets. It's a universe full of details and emotions." With each word, I felt more drawn to him. Alex had a worldview that resonated with my own search for meaning and beauty. The chemistry between us was palpable, and I could hardly believe I was there, talking to someone so fascinating. "Would you like to see some of my photos?" he asked, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Of course." "I'd love to," I responded, my heart racing at the possibility of a new encounter. In the days that followed, Alex and I began to meet regularly. He took me on walks around the city, where the sun illuminated the skyscrapers and vibrant streets of Chicago. One of those days, while we walked down the magnificent mile, he shared more about his photography project. "I'm creating a series about urban life, and I would love for you to help me," he said, looking at me with anticipation. "I would love to help," I exclaimed, my enthusiasm overflowing. "I can be your assistant or whatever you need." "This will be amazing." The idea of getting involved in his artistic world made me glow. As the days passed, the connection between us deepened. Alex was attentive and charming, and I found myself falling more in love. He had a unique way of making me feel special, as if I were the only person that mattered at that moment. One night, he surprised me with a candlelit dinner at a cozy Italian restaurant. The atmosphere was warm, and soft music filled the air. As we savored delicious dishes, our gazes met frequently, and I couldn't help but smile. "Clara, I feel like we have something special," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "I want to explore this with you." "I feel that too, Alex," I confessed, my heart pounding with intensity. "I feel like you're someone I can open up to and be myself." However, amidst all the passion and charm, I noticed that at times, Alex seemed hesitant, as if something was bothering him. "Are you okay?" I asked, concerned. "It seems like there's something you're not telling me." He hesitated, but soon smiled. "I'm fine, just thinking about the future." His answer left me intrigued, but somehow the certainty that everything was fine prevailed. That night was magical, but a subtle unease began to form in my chest. I had no idea that behind his seductive aura, Alex held secrets that would unexpectedly change the course of our story. At that moment, I couldn't imagine the storm that was approaching, but the soft light of the gallery still shone in my memory, like a harbinger of everything that was to come. It was a sunny afternoon in Chicago, but the sunlight seemed unable to penetrate the cloud of uncertainties that hung over me. A month had passed since I met Alex, and the passion that once enveloped me now began to mix with a disquieting discomfort. It was as if I were walking a tightrope between love and distrust, and the small contradictions in his stories were becoming more apparent. That afternoon, I decided to do something I never imagined I would have to do: investigate. As I walked through the streets of Chicago, my mind was spinning with what could be hidden behind Alex's charming smile. He always had a way of captivating me, but suddenly that ability felt more like a trap. The first clue that left me unsettled was one day when I caught him receiving a message from an unknown number. He was in the kitchen, with his phone in hand, and when he saw me approaching, he quickly tucked the device into his pocket as if he had something to hide. "Who was that?" I asked, trying to sound casual, but my voice betrayed my anxiety. "Oh, just a work friend. You know, always bouncing ideas about photography," he replied, with a smile that couldn't hide the tension in his gaze. "Got it," I murmured, but inside, doubt grew like a shadow. I needed to know more, but what I really wanted was to confront him. I hesitated, wondering about the consequences. What if I was wrong? What if the truth was even more painful? I decided to go to the exhibition of his photos that Friday night. The event promised to be a celebration of urban life that he loved to capture. Upon arriving, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The walls were adorned with vibrant images of the city, but what caught my attention most was a woman standing next to Alex. She had long, dark hair and an intimate smile that seemed to share secrets with him. I couldn't hear what she whispered in his ear, but the way he smiled at her made my heart race. A mix of jealousy and insecurity flooded me as I approached, trying to understand the situation. "Hi, Clara. This is Sophia, a colleague of mine." Alex introduced her, but the words sounded empty. "Nice to meet you," Sophia said, but her gaze was possessive, as if she knew exactly what I was feeling. "Clara, did you see the new series I put up over there?" Alex suggested, trying to change the subject, but I couldn't divert my gaze from her. The image of them together was etched in my mind, and the feeling of betrayal began to take shape. That night, as we returned home, I couldn't hold back any longer. The desire to confront him was stronger than my fear. "Alex, you were really close to Sophia. What's going on between you two?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. He turned to me, his expression becoming defensive. "Clara, it's not what you think. Sophia is just a colleague. We're working together on a project. You know how it is, right? Just that? Are you sure? Because sometimes it seems like there's more between you," I said, trying to stay calm, but frustration echoed in every word. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Please, don't start suspecting everything. You're the only one I want," Alex said, but the sincerity in his eyes didn't completely convince me. Although I wanted to believe him, a part of me couldn't ignore the intuition. That night was marked by an uncomfortable silence. As I lay in bed, I realized that the trust, once unshakable, was now a broken crystal. Doubt consumed me, and the idea that Alex might be living a double life tormented me. I needed answers, but the truth could be more painful than the uncertainty. That dawn, with the city lights shining outside, I decided I could no longer live in a maze of lies and uncertainties. I needed the truth, no matter the cost. What was Alex really hiding from me? And more importantly, how far was I willing to go to find out? The morning light filtered through the curtains in my living room, but I could barely appreciate it. Sitting at the coffee table, my gaze drifted to an undefined point as my mind spun around Alex and the revelations I was beginning to piece together like a puzzle. Discovering his profile on a social network I had never heard of left me uneasy. What else was he hiding from me? I went to my computer and, with trembling hands, began typing his name. The screen flickered, and my heart raced when I saw the image of Alex, smiling, with a caption I couldn't decipher. "Clara, are you okay?" My friend Lisa's voice interrupted my thoughts. She appeared at the door with a worried expression. I forced a smile, but it was strained. "I'm just thinking," I replied, trying to seem unconcerned. "Thinking about who?" She approached, sitting down next to me at the table. "It's about Alex, isn't it? How do you know?" I looked at her, surprised. "Clara, you have that light in your eyes when you talk about him, but now, well, you look like you've lost something." It was true. I had lost the trust and hope I once had regarding Alex. I found a profile of him on a social network that, it's like he has a life I don't know about. "Have you confronted him about it?" Lisa asked, with a look that mixed concern and curiosity. "No. I don't know if I'm ready to hear what he has to say." The weight of my words made me feel as if I were carrying a burden. "Maybe you should, Clara. You deserve to know the truth." She held my hand, and in that moment, I realized I was more alone than ever. I decided it was time to act. With my heart pounding like a drum, I grabbed my phone and searched for the name of the woman I had seen at the exhibition. Curiosity led me to a point of no return. The phone rang a few times before she answered. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was soft, but there was an alert tone. "Hi, my name is Clara. I saw you with Alex at the art exhibition." The phrase came out hesitantly, but the truth needed to be spoken. "What do you want to know?" The woman replied, her voice now firmer. "Are you friends with him?" I asked hesitantly. "Friends? No, Clara. I'm much more than that." Her answer cut through the air. I felt my stomach churn. "What do you mean?" "Alex and I had a relationship. He didn't tell me about you, and I genuinely didn't know he was seeing you. But let me know if you need more information." Her voice had a tone of empathy, but also disdain. I hung up the phone, feeling adrenaline coursing through my veins. Every word she had said turned into a dagger stabbing my heart. The truth was more painful than I could have imagined. Alex wasn't just a man full of secrets, he was a liar. That night, after a day of internal torment, I decided to confront him again. The atmosphere was heavy. I invited him to come to my apartment, with a tightness in my chest and a whirlwind of emotions. When he arrived, his usual smile didn't disarm me like before. "Hi, Clara. You look serious." He looked at me with that expression that had always made me a little dizzy. "We need to talk, Alex." My tone was firmer than I expected. "Sure, about what?" He settled onto the sofa, but there was a nervousness in his posture that didn't go unnoticed. "About you. About your life." I took a deep breath, trying to gather courage. "I found out about the woman at the exhibition." "Who is she?" Alex's expression changed instantly, and I knew he wasn't prepared for this. "Clara, I can explain," he started, but I didn't want to hear any more excuses. "Explain what?" "That you have a double life? That you've been deceiving me the whole time." The anger I was trying to control began to overflow. "It's not like that." He tried to interrupt me, but I wouldn't let him. "Then tell me how things are, Alex. Because with every second that passes, I feel like I'm losing a part of myself." He looked down, as if he were conflicted. "Clara, I didn't want you to know. I just wanted to protect you." "Protect? Or lie? You can't just decide what I need to know." The pain in my voice was palpable, and I knew my words were cutting like knives. The conversation continued, but the truth was becoming clearer. I didn't know who Alex really was, and with each passing moment, I felt more determined to discover who he truly was. The sun in Chicago shone brightly, but inside me, a storm was forming. I decided I needed some time away from Alex, not just to breathe, but to find myself again. With each step through the vibrant city streets, I felt a mix of freedom and confusion. Art had always been my passion, but now it became a necessity, a way to express everything I was feeling. As I walked, observing the graffiti on the walls and listening to the conversations of passers-by, my heart beat strong. I needed to channel this pain into something creative. I found a small art studio hidden in an alley, with a sign that read, "Paint Your Truth." That sounded like a calling. I entered and was soon welcomed by a group of artists of different styles. They seemed so at ease, so authentic. One of them, a man with messy hair and bright eyes, greeted me. "Hey, you look a little lost. Want to join us?" he asked with a welcoming smile. "Actually, I'm trying to figure out how to express what I'm feeling," I replied, feeling vulnerability slip through my words. "Art is the best way to deal with that. Come, we'll help you," he said, pulling a chair for me. The group introduced themselves, and I soon realized I was surrounded by people who understood the internal struggle I was facing. We talked about our experiences, and the pain I carried became fuel for my creativity. In the following days, I threw myself into the creative process. Each brushstroke on the canvas felt like a release. I began painting distorted figures, representing the confusion and betrayal that consumed me. One day, while working on a piece depicting a woman surrounded by shadows, one of the artists approached and asked, "How about adding a touch of color?" Sometimes, beauty can emerge from chaos. That's true, but I'm so immersed in pain that I forget to look at the positive side, I replied, hesitant. Do it for yourself, Clara. Art is a journey, not a destination. Her words resonated within me. I needed to look at life differently, even if the pain was still present. I started adding touches of orange and yellow to my works, colors that symbolized hope, even amidst the darkness. One night, while at home, I received an anonymous message. My heart raced upon seeing Alex's name on the screen. The message contained photos of him with another woman, in situations that seemed too intimate to be mere coincidences. A wave of anger and sadness washed over me. How could he be so cruel? The images were a cruel reminder of the double life I was trying to ignore. Hello? I thought aloud, trying to find some sense. How could he do this to me? Tears streamed down my face, but amid the pain, a determination began to blossom. I could no longer be a victim of his lies. I needed to confront him, but now with the clarity that art had provided me. The next day was a new beginning. Looking at my paintings, I realized that each one was a part of me that I was finally accepting. The group of artists had become a new family, and the pain I felt was now transforming into motivation. Clara, you're different, one of the artists commented during a painting session. Your art is becoming more powerful. What happened? I just realized that life is a mix of light and shadow. Sometimes we need to lose ourselves to find ourselves again, I replied, feeling strength return to my being. The journey of self-discovery was just beginning, and I was ready to move forward, determined not to let Alex's lies define my worth. The truth I sought was forming in every stroke on the canvas, and I was ready to face whatever came next. My heart raced as I approached the art event. The bright lights of the gallery reflected on the white walls, creating a vibrant yet suffocating atmosphere. The smell of fresh paint and red wine lingered in the air, but nothing could calm the storm brewing inside me. I knew I had to confront Alex, and the thought made me uneasy. The adrenaline pulsed through my veins, mixed with the pain I tried to bury. "Clara, are you okay?" asked my friend Julia, who was by my side. She watched me with concern, noticing the tension in my face. "I'm fine. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say to him." The truth was, I wasn't fine. The images from the anonymous message were still fresh in my mind, like a cruel echo. The photos of Alex with another woman, the smiles that seemed so intimate, all of that was tearing me apart. "You're going to be okay. Remember that you're stronger than you think," she encouraged, holding my arm. Her support gave me a little courage, but my determination was flickering like a flame in the wind. Finally, I saw Alex across the gallery, animatedly chatting with some people. He looked as handsome and charming as always, but his image had become distorted for me. I walked toward him, each step feeling like I was carrying the weight of the world. "Hey, Clara. So good to see you." He smiled when he saw me, but there was something in his gaze that made me uneasy. It was as if he knew I had something to say, something that could change everything between us. "Alex, we need to talk." "Now." My voice came out firmer than I expected, but the urgency I felt wouldn't let me hesitate. "Of course. What's wrong?" He tried to smile, but the tension was palpable. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the truth slipping from my lips. "I saw the photos, Alex. The ones with another woman. You need to explain this." He hesitated, the smile fading. "Clara, I can explain. That woman she's just a friend. You know how the photography world is. We often have to mingle with people. No." I interrupted, anger and sadness spilling over. "Don't come to me with excuses. I'm not the naive girl you once knew. I saw what I saw, and I won't accept being deceived." The conversation attracted the attention of a few people around us, and the atmosphere grew tense. I didn't care. I needed him to understand that the truth couldn't be circumvented. "Clara, I love you. You know that." He tried to get closer, but I stepped back as if his presence were a flame that burned. "You love me? That's a joke." I was about to shout, the pain burning in my chest. "You love another woman and still try to keep me here, as if I'm the only one? That's not love, Alex. It's betrayal." At that moment, a familiar voice joined the conversation. It was the woman I had seen at the exhibition, Alex's ex-girlfriend. She stepped forward, and my memory immediately recalled her whispering with him. Sorry to interrupt, but I think we need to clarify a few things, she said, looking at Alex with a mix of frustration and sadness. Alex, you need to be honest with both of us. You don't understand, Alex started, but my determination strengthened. No, you don't understand, I said, joining forces with the woman. We both have the right to know the truth about what's really going on. No more lies. Alex's expression changed, and I could see the mask of confidence he wore beginning to crack. It was as if the truth was emerging, and for the first time, I felt I wasn't alone in this fight. Clara, please, can we talk privately? He tried to divert the conversation, but I wasn't willing to give him another chance. No, Alex. Enough. It's time for you to face the consequences of your actions, I replied, looking at the woman beside me. She seemed as determined as I was, and a feeling of empowerment began to grow between us. Together, we will expose the truth, she said, and I nodded, feeling that we were finally on the same page. The tension hung in the air, and I knew this was just the beginning of something that would change everything. The art event that was supposed to be a celebration was turning into a stage where the truth was finally starting to be revealed. And there, in front of everyone, I felt like I was reclaiming my power, leaving behind the lies that had imprisoned me. The atmosphere at the art event was electrically tense. Whispers spread like fire in dry straw, and I felt everyone's gaze on me, as if I were on a stage, exposed and vulnerable. The revelation of the truth about Alex and his lies had caused a stir, but somehow I felt relieved. The illusion I had embraced so fervently was now unraveling, and although the pain was still present, there was a strange sense of freedom beginning to emerge. Clara, you can't just do this. I didn't know you were going to join her. Alex pleaded with me, his voice trembling as he tried to regain his composure. He was surrounded by curious looks, people watching the scene as if it were a movie. You don't understand. Everything I did was for love. Love. I laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. You deceived me, Alex. You don't know what love is. You only know how to lie. The weight of my words hung in the air, and I realized I was finally breaking the ties that bound me to him. In the back of the room, I saw the woman who had also been deceived, Alex's ex-girlfriend. She gave me an understanding look, and something inside me ignited. Approaching her, I said, "We need to talk. Together, we can show the truth." She nodded, her eyes shining with determination. Yes, he can't keep doing this. We can't allow him to do this to more women. The feeling of solidarity between us was palpable. We devised a plan, and the idea of joining forces brought me new hope. After the event, I decided it was time to cut ties with Alex once and for all. He tried to follow me, but I didn't look back. Confident in my decision, I went home, but the pain of betrayal still accompanied me. Instead of letting it bring me down, I decided to channel that pain into my art. In the following days, I began to work on a new series of artworks. Each brushstroke was an expression of my internal struggle, of betrayal and the quest for self-discovery. The vibrant colors reflected the intensity of what I felt, a mix of anger, sadness, and ultimately liberation. I was transforming pain into something beautiful, and that gave me strength. Meanwhile, my new friend, Alex's ex-girlfriend, and I decided to unite for a joint art project. We called it Reflections of Betrayal. The idea was to explore the truth about relationships and the deceptions that often imprison us. We wanted other women to know they were not alone and that pain could be transformed into art. One night, while we worked together in a studio, she shared her experience with me. I also believed his lies. He promised me the world, but in reality, he was just using me. Her voice trembled, but there was a growing strength in her words. I never thought I would join forces with you to expose this, but I'm so glad we're doing it together. Yes, it's like we're developing a new language through art, I replied as I mixed paints. We are telling a story that needs to be heard. Our project came to life, and soon we decided to organize an exhibition. The day of the opening arrived, and the studio was filled with people. I looked around and saw familiar faces, friends who had become my family in recent weeks. They were there, supporting me, and that gave me immense strength. As people admired our works, I realized that even after Alex's betrayal, I had found something much more meaningful: friendship and solidarity. This brought me a peace I never thought I would achieve. I was no longer the vulnerable young woman who blindly fell in love with a man who betrayed her. I was Clara, a strong and determined artist, ready to face the world. And so, amidst the music and laughter, I left behind the shadows of the past. What Alex did would not define me. On the contrary, I was just beginning to write my own story.